Good evening everyone, Mike Palmer from Know Your Rights Group and Success Coaching International with another very important live video update tonight. We've got a lot to cover, but before we get into the crux of tonight's video, I do need to do a little bit of housekeeping. First and foremost, I'm getting completely frustrated with the barrage of emails with people asking me, oh Mike, can you print up a fact sheet that we can go to give to businesses about QR codes? Or can you write up a letter specifically to do with masks, COVID jabs, whatever it is. Why do I have to do everything? Come on guys, we have 15 pages on our website which are full of completely free information, really detailed stuff. Okay, in addition to that, we run comprehensive information-packed 2-hour radio shows each and every Tuesday now. Now, please, if you missed this week's show, go back and listen to the podcast because we covered some incredible information. We went through a really comprehensive commentary on Article 12 of the Covenant on International Civil Political Rights to do with the freedom of movement. This is something people need to know about. We covered all the information from Pfizer about people who've been vaccinated shedding, a whole range of really detailed stuff that we can't cover on these Facebook and YouTube videos. Please make sure you go and listen to that podcast. Now, in addition to that, okay, I also do these completely free live video updates once or twice a week as well. Surely that has to be enough. Okay, surely you can't expect any more of me, please. Okay, as I've said many times, we are firm believers in that concept of give a man a fish and you feed him for a day, but teach him how to fish and you feed him for life. We're here to feed you for life, okay? We give you all the tools, we give you all the references. I show you the media articles, I read out the sections and subsections of legislation. I tell you the names of the cases, okay? We show you exactly where to go to look for these things. So can I please ask of you to go and do some research and do some of this work yourselves. I know a lot of you do, absolutely, but we're still getting a lot of emails from people who are still asking me to do it all for them, okay? I just can't keep spoon feeding people all the time, and not only that, but that's not what this group is about, okay? The Know Your Rights group is here to inspire and empower people, okay, to learn about their rights and how to stand up for them. Okay, so me spoon feeding you all the time is counterproductive to that. So I'm asking you all, please let's keep that in mind as we move forwards. Now, secondly, as I've also explained more times than I can possibly remember, we honestly, genuinely receive over 500 emails a day. That is each and every day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Okay? Please just stop and actually think about those numbers and think about how overwhelming it would be for you if you received those numbers of emails each and every day. I get up in the morning, I go to my computer, and there's just pages and pages of emails. I work my way through them, I stop, I have some lunch, I go to an appointment, I come back, and there's a new page of emails. I go through those, I stop, I have dinner, I go back to the computer, and there's a new page of emails. And on it goes each and every day. And that doesn't include all of the Facebook messages and the YouTube comments that we keep getting, and we still keep saying to people, we can't get to those comments or messages. So please don't send them through. But all of that is okay. Okay, it's all okay because I've created a bit of a system that I can work through those emails in each and every day. But the one thing I'm asking you to please stop doing is stop sending the Know Your Rights group emails that are meant for other groups. We get more than enough of our own emails as it is. Okay, honestly, as I'm standing here today, we received over a dozen emails that were actually questions that were for the Aussie speeding fines guys. And there was another half a dozen emails that were questions that were for the bank secrets guys. Okay? Please send your emails to the relevant groups. If you've got a speeding fine question or a fines question, send it to Aussie Speeding Fines. If you've got a question about the banking process or mortgages, things like that, send it to Bank Secrets Revealed. If it's a general rights question, of course, send it to us at the Know Your Rights group. No problem at all. But I can't understand why we keep getting these messages for other groups when I've explained to people so many times we are all separate groups. separate websites, separate books, separate email addresses, separate. Okay, so please do take notice of that and do send the relevant things to the relevant groups rather than just sending all to us at the Know Your Rights group, because otherwise I just get overwhelmed with it all because I've got to respond to everyone and tell them all of that. Okay, so hopefully that message is well and truly sunk in for everybody. We won't have to address it again and we can get into the crux of tonight's video. So, the big news of today is that, you ready for it? 2 people out of the 5.3 million people that live in Sydney have now returned a positive COVID-19 test result. Mind you, those 2 people are actually a husband and wife from the US, okay? But in her infinite wisdom, the Premier of New South Wales is now introducing, or has now at this point in time, introduced new restrictions for everyone in Sydney for the next 3 days. Now, you gotta get a load of these, okay? Sit down and hold on, because this is gonna blow your mind, okay? Now, honestly, if you've been in a coma for the past year and you just woke up today and you watch the news, okay, you would honestly be thinking that someone is either pulling some belated April Fool's prank, or they're reading the original script from the movie Footloose, okay? Here's what it is. So, new restrictions from Sydney as of 5 p.m. today. Face masks are now compulsory in all indoor settings, public transport, things like that. Okay, that kind of makes sense, I get that. No more than 20 people in your home. Okay, again, kind of makes sense, I get that. But here's where it starts going off the rails. You must remain seated whilst drinking in pubs or clubs. Because God forbid you stand up with your beer, COVID's going to get you. So watch out, okay? But here's the best one. Are you ready? No singing or dancing at indoor venues, including places of worship and entertainment venues. So, sorry, if you've booked to go and see a concert this weekend, the singers can stand up on stage and they can sing, but you've got to just stand there. You can't sing with them, you can't dance, you just got to stand there. Doesn't matter how big the venue is. No singing or dancing in indoor venues. Seriously, where's Kevin Bacon when you need him? He would have had this sorted in a flash. All right. It gets better though, or worse, depending on how you choose to look at it, okay? Because weddings are actually exempt from this directive. So you can sing and dance if you're at a wedding, just not in a pub or club. I don't know how it works if you're having a wedding in a pub or club. You'd have to check that out, okay? But hang on, the health advice recommends, so it's not a directive, it's just a recommendation, that there's only 20 people on the dance floor at any time if you're at a wedding. But no people on the dance floor if you're not at a wedding. Okay? Now, look, I know I may not be the smartest bloke around. Okay? So I must be missing something here. So if anyone out there can please explain to me how the health advice can justify the insane discrepancies here, I would love to know. Please let me know. Because as I understand it, this is the scenario. The lads, the girls, you know, a group of you can go out for a night on the town, but as soon as you get somewhere to have a drink, you've got to sit down. You can't stand up. And you can't sing or dance at an indoor venue, no matter how big that venue is. But if you're at a wedding, it's completely okay to dance, and it's only suggested that there's no more than 20 people on the dance floor, which are usually very confined dance floors at some of those wedding venues. Okay, now, if this doesn't show you, okay, that they are all just toying with you, they are playing with you, this is just a big game for them. If this doesn't show you how completely arbitrary these directives really are, then I honestly don't know what will. Okay, and as I've explained before, for a law to be valid, it must be applied equally and meaningfully, because otherwise it's completely arbitrary and of no legal force or effect. Now people go, oh Mike, that sounds good, but where do you get that from? Well, again, let me show you. So I've gone straight to the Australian Parliament website. Okay, there it is there, aph.gov.au. Okay, the heading of this page, and you can go and look it up for yourself, and I urge you to do so. The Federal Parliament and the Protection of Human Rights. Okay, now it's a very long document. The way to find this is just type in the word, do a search on that page for the word arbitrary. Okay, and this is what you'll come up with. It says, a Bill of Rights. Remember, we have the Bill of Rights 1688. It applies absolutely here in the Commonwealth of Australia. We've directed people to the Port of Portland decision where all 7 justices all agreed that the Imperial Acts Application Act and the Bill of Rights most assuredly still apply here. You can see that on my court cases page. You'll find it on the CD that comes with the book. So, a Bill of Rights has many weaknesses and limitations. Legally protected rights can be blunt tools for redressing social injustice. Some of these weaknesses are apparent in the Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms and perhaps more clearly in the United States Bill of Rights. However, it's a but. This does not negate the importance of such an instrument in protecting fundamental rights against the exercise of arbitrary power in a modern state. Arbitrary power. You can't have it. It goes on to say, Brian Burdekin, a former Australian Human Rights Commissioner, also commented in 1994 that it is beyond question that our current legal system is seriously inadequate in protecting many of the rights of the most vulnerable and disadvantaged groups in our community. Such comments reflect the need to shield basic rights from the exercise of arbitrary power. You cannot exercise arbitrary power. To say you have to sit down to drink but you can't drink standing up, to say that you can not dance or sing at an indoor venue but it's okay if you do it if you're at a wedding, I mean, this is so completely ridiculously arbitrary, and it voids and invalidates all of those directives. Okay, please understand this. All right, now, because these new directives just came into effect as of 5 o'clock tonight, it hasn't happened yet, but I absolutely know we will be bombarded with questions again over the coming days, especially from people in Sydney, about what to say to the police or what to say to store owners if you don't have a mask, okay? And again, very simply, you just state, I have a medical exemption. That's it. Don't get into any other dialogue about it. I have a medical exemption. Now remember, as we've explained a number of times on these videos, if they even ask you if you've got or ask you to provide a copy of your medical certificate, they are breaking the law. Only a medically trained person who is in the process of medically treating you with your consent in that moment in time even has the right to ask you for your private medical information. No one else. Most assuredly not police officers, and definitely not staff at the door of a private business. Now, I want to be crystal clear. Businesses most assuredly can make whatever entry requirements they want. No matter how arbitrary, no matter how ridiculous, okay, they can do that. But here's the thing, all right? If you remain nice and calm and just explain that you have a medical exemption, then those people in those businesses, the business owners, the employees, they're covered. In case anyone else comes along and goes, oh, why did you let them in without a mask? Oh, because they've got a medical exemption. Okay, so they're covered. So if you just keep nice and calm, okay, they're covered, they don't need to stress, and they will 99 times out of 100 just let you in. How do I know? Because we dealt with this for over 6 months here in Melbourne last year, where they said you have to wear masks, and we never wore masks. Okay, and it just wasn't an issue if you hold yourself nice and calmly. Okay, now, if they don't, if they still refuse to let you in, please don't make a big song and dance about it. Okay, just go somewhere else, take your money elsewhere, okay, and the more people that do that, the quicker they're going to get the message. All right? Now, yes, you can sue them for medical discrimination if you want, but can you really be bothered? All right? I mean, that's a decision for you guys to make. Okay, look, at the end of the day, this is difficult. This is frustrating for everybody. You know, patrons, business owners, the whole lot. So the general rule of thumb is A, just be nice. Okay, and B, if things start to turn not nice, just walk away. All right? And please, again, we have done countless videos on everything to do with masks, the good and the bad, what you should be aware of, what you should be wary of, how to speak to the police. Okay, so please just go to our YouTube channel, go to our BitChute channel, and look for any video that has masks in the heading, okay, and just watch us, because there's a lot of extra information, okay, which is going to be perfect for anyone who's new to this channel, if anyone who's, concerned about or unsure about what to do. We've also got some really interesting articles about masks on our vaccinations page. So just go to knowyourrightsgroup.com.au/vaccinations and scroll about halfway down and you'll see some really important links on masks. Make sure you have a look at those. And please remember, okay, if the only reason that you're going to wear a mask in Sydney over the next 3 days or wherever else that masks might be mandatory at the moment is because you're worried about getting a fine, and that's the only reason, please jump online. There's a link in the description. Grab this Aussie Speeding Fines book, okay, and use the tried, tested and proven general 3-step process from chapter 3 to deal with any mask-related, COVID-related fines whatsoever. Okay, again, we've been using this stuff in Melbourne for well over 6 months now. We know it works. People have successfully challenged and had those fines withdrawn. So don't worry about the fines. That should be the last thing you're concerned about. All right, so the other big news of today is that our illustrious leader, Sco Mo, has come out and said, are you ready for this? Vaccine passports are the next step. That's what he said. Here it is. So this is straight off of 9news.com.au. As it says, vaccine passports, the next step, says Scott Morrison. Prime Minister Scott Morrison is open to the idea of vaccine passports to allow people who have had their shots to travel more freely. He said the topic was something his medical expert panel was working on right now. I think that it is the next step, but I do think that step is some way away, Mr. Morrison told 3AW. If you're fully vaccinated, that you would be able to travel, certainly around Australia, but maybe overseas, without the need for hotel quarantine. You don't need to hotel quarantine travelling around in Australia at the moment, Sco Mo. Maybe you didn't get that memo. Before signing off on vaccine passports, Mr. Morrison said evidence was needed that the shots protect against coronavirus transmissibility. Well, that'd be a damn good idea, wouldn't it? Let's actually make sure that the vaccine stops the transmission of COVID-19. Otherwise, what's the point? He would also need to be satisfied that people could reliably isolate at home, because they certainly can't reliably isolate in the hotel quarantine system at the moment, can they? Okay? So, again, go and look up this article and be aware of it. And again, if you missed it, please go back and listen to Tuesday night's podcast, because we covered in detail Article 12, the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, and the ins and outs of the freedom of movement within a state, in between states, and also in and out of the country. Very, very important information. So, here's a question though. Why would Sco Mo be coming out today of all days pushing for these vaccine passports and again pushing for people to get vaccinated when another 2 people have just been hospitalised just today after getting their COVID jabs? So again, here's another article for you. This one's out of 7news.com.au. Okay, 2 Australian men in hospital after receiving COVID-19 vaccine. A man is in intensive care in Queensland Hospital after receiving a COVID-19 vaccine, while another man in Tasmania has been hospitalised after his jab. A 66-year-old Queensland man is in Townsville Hospital with thrombosis after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine. The TGA has confirmed with me that they believe his illness is a direct result of the AstraZeneca vaccine, Queensland Chief Health Officer Jeanette Young said on Thursday. Meanwhile, in Tasmania, the Health Department has set up an advisory panel to review the case of thrombosis in a 70-year-old man. He reported symptoms 7 days after receiving the AstraZeneca vaccine, with the Therapeutic Goods Administration to determine if his illness is linked to the vaccine. He's currently in hospital receiving treatment and remains in a stable condition, Scott McCowan, Acting Director of Public Health, said in a statement. The man in Queensland, get this, is the fifth case of the clots that the TGA has linked to the AstraZeneca vaccine in Australia. The 5th case. Now again, let me remind you, right here in Australia, and that's all we're talking about right now, more people have been hospitalised and more people have died this year as a result of receiving the COVID-19 jab than have been hospitalised or died with COVID-19. Again, I welcome all the fact checkers out there to fact check that information, okay? And I urge you all to please think long and hard about whether the current range of vaccines that are currently available here in Australia are in fact the best thing for you and your family to be taking or not. So I'm going to leave it there for tonight. As always, I do urge you all to make use of all of the various resources, all of those live videos that we've done, all the radio show podcasts, the book, the CDs, everything to get informed, get fired up, and get proactive. Okay, and of course, as always, the best way to do that is with all of that completely information that's available on our website, that's on the Aussie Speeding Funds website, that's on the Bank Secrets Revealed website, and of course, the information that's contained in our books. If you want some really good general information on a wide range of topics to do with your rights, please grab the Know Your Rights book, the essential step-by-step manual for understanding and exercising your rights. If you want to know the ins and outs, the tried and tested, proven 3-step process for challenging all manner of fines, not just traffic fines, grab the Aussie Speeding Fines book. And if you want to know the ins and outs of the fraud that the banks commit every single time they engage in a home loan, as well as the tried and tested 4-step process for successfully discharging any unsecured debts, that's your credit cards, personal loans, make sure you grab the Bank Secrets book. They're all available individually off the various websites, or yes, you can get them in a combo pack with all three, with one of our wonderful free tote bags thrown in at no charge. It does save you a little bit on postage, and the price is discounted a little bit as well. So please, if that's of interest to you, go and grab those. So that's it for me. I look forward to speaking to you all again on Sunday evening for our next live video update. And of course, a very special shout out to all of the mums out there, including my own, wishing you all a very happy Mother's Day for Sunday. Have a great weekend, everyone. I'll talk to you Sunday night.